Hi, my name is Scott. I'm a student here in 577. I will be presenting today a research report on 577, and that's what I did for my final class project. Was I did a individual research report on the smart grid, and certainly the smart grid is a very interesting distributed application for many reasons. One is it needs to scale to a very large set of systems and diverse types of systems. It also has to be able to, you know, provide the very important commodity in this country and many other countries, which is electricity. And I know that when the electricity goes out at my house, it's a big deal. And certainly when I was many few years ago when we had some of the blackout problems, when my plant got shut down from the blackout, that was a big deal as well. So certainly, electricity is required for the future. So the format today is going to be basically I'm going to talk to you, and if I'd ask you to open up a side window with my presentation in PowerPoint, and I will guide you through the slides by number. And right now we're on slide number 1, which just has my name and title for the report or the oral presentation. So slide 2, this has the agenda for what we're going to be discussing today. It is a little bit of a loose, order, but it does cover what I hope to achieve in the presentation. And first, I'm going to talk about a little more is about the smart grid and what it is, why it's important. Then I'm going to talk about the current state of the grid. There is a immense need for a new distribution system in this country for electricity, and I hope to present to you why that is. And then I'm going to talk about future state and requirements for the smart grid, what the new smart grid needs to look like, and then from there I'll talk about well what kind of network communication structure do we need to support those requirements? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about advanced metering infrastructure options. It's another big part of the smart grid is that you eventually need to have the ability to monitor electrical usage real time at every home. So your smart meter, your meter at your home will be connected to a network which is continuously providing information to the utility on how much power you're using, and then also this device would be providing to your home information about what the cost is for electricity at that time, because in a dynamic system, the price of electricity is going to fluctuate through the day. So what we're going to be able to do is you'll need two-way communication with the smart grid and with the meter. And then trust considerations for the grid. Then I'll talk about some distributed control architectures. And then I'll talk to a present, which I think is a fascinating topic. Is I'll present uh, some ideas about using a peer-to-peer system for the smart grid, which in my mind originally was rather novel. And then I'll have some conclusions. So let's go on to slide 3. The smart grid. Why is it important? Well, I've kind of touched on that a little bit already. The smart grid is important because we rely on electricity in our society. We like toasters and TVs, and we also know that corporations and as well individuals need to pay the lowest possible price for electricity. And then we also need a reliable and a viable power grid for the future. And when I say viable, I mean that we realize that at some point, it's controversial when, but at some point our electricity grid will need to uh, migrate away from fossil fuels. And to do that with many of the renewable sources, we will need the ability to very quickly match demand with supply. And the problem with a lot of the green resources is they're dependent on Mother Nature, and so you can't rely on a solar cell to give you electricity all day because the problem is that at night it's not going to generate anything. And so we need the ability to very quickly factor in other sources of generation when we're relying significantly on renewable sources for power. And then we also need a reliable grid. Um, the current electrical, utilities, when a line goes down, they have to send somebody out in the storm to go find that the line's out, or you have to call the central office on the phone if your phone still works, and let them know, hey, I've got an electrical line in my backyard. It's dangerous. Come take care of it. And it doesn't need to be that way. The reason that we're in this situation is that our electrical grid in this country is really 100 years old, and it hasn't been, excuse me, substantially updated. So what we need to factor in some of the advances in computing and information technology into the grid, and right now we don't have that. And then also one of the challenges to the smart grid is we need to have a very strong security focus. Without that, we'll be sharing a lot of information that people will not be comfortable with. So that was slide 3. Let's go on to slide 4, and I'm going to restart the presentation. I have a 7-minute limit, so you'll have to bear with me with the use of YouTube.